Welcome to the Last Beer Show. We need more like iTunes ratings. We only have one. We need more.
Yeah.
We need more.
Rate us on iTunes.
Yeah. You know what? Let's read them. If you rate us on iTunes, we should.
We'll read it on the
Let's
podcast.
move this to the beginning of the show. All right. I'm going to edit it and move this to the beginning of the show and say, rate us on iTunes, and we will read it on the show the very next episode that airs.
Yep. Let's do it.
We'll do it. And if we have too many to read, we'll call that a good problem to have.
Yes.
And then we'll do something else cool with them. Like the funniest one, we'll mail you a beer. How about every month we pick the funniest iTunes rating?
Yes.
And then we mail them a beer.
Let's do it.
I'm happy to do that.
Yep.
All right. You heard it here first, peoples. Go rate us on iTunes. I mean, you can do it in Stitcher and Google Play, but I think we got about 3 listeners in those combined. So, it's almost all iOS, and that's fine. That's great. Tell your Google buddies with their Android devices that podcasts exist and that they can also do that. But I think Google's making a play right now to, no pun intended, to make podcasts a bigger part of the mix of the Google Play Store.
Yep.
So hopefully that turns into something that opens up a large audience for podcasters. What is this? Buckwheat Blossom
Honey from Whitehorse Brewing in Berlin, Pennsylvania. Beer brewed with honey is all it says.
It's sweet. A friend of mine sent it. It's sweet and dry like you would think with honey.
Yeah.
It's got a good honey flavor though.
Yeah.
Solid. Oh, it's pretty solid.
Smells really hoppy for
solid ale. Yeah, she was like, "Can you put this button on my website?" And it took like a few minutes.
Yeah.
And she was like, "What do I owe you?" And I'm like, "You don't owe me anything. It's okay." And she said, "What's your address? I'm going to send you some beer. You can talk about it on your show." So there you go. Product placement.
Yeah.
Via barter.
Thank you, Barter. And Whitehorse Brewing. And it says presented by Whitehorse Brewing in Berlin, Pennsylvania.
It's a cool little town. I was looking it up, and I was looking for photos of the brewery.
Yeah,
on the website. So they sent a smoked black lager, which I've already consumed because I'm a big smoked beer fan.
Are,
and it was really good.
Glad you brewed. I'm glad you drank it.
I don't know why you don't like smoked beer when you're such a big barbecue fan. It does not make any sense to me.
I don't.
You like the smoke.
Yeah.
Like to smoke the meats.
Smoke the meats, not the beers.
Just smoke the barley, man.
I don't like to feel like I'm drinking an ashtray.
It's not ashtray.
It's smoky, ashy. It's like drinking dark roasted coffee.
Tastes like meat. Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah. So I can't do it.
I will not suffer dark roasted coffee.
I wish I could.
It's got to be light roast.
Yes.
Light. What is that? Half city? What was a fancy term, hipster term for it?
I don't know.
Blonde?
Because I actually don't really ascribe to that.
You don't travel in those circles?
No.
How about just very lightly roasted so it actually tastes like some sort of flavored natural thing instead of just like burnt? This isn't a coffee show.
No.
What are you typing?
I am typing. I will survive as long as I have life to live. I know I'll make it on.
There you go. So yeah, let's cover The Bubble is Bursting. Let's cover... I have a little bit of a bone to pick. I do this every once in a while.
Yeah.
But the idea of... I saw a tweet go by and it blew up into a thread that was a lot of people calling this person out on Twitter for saying, I missed the memo on how independence means a brewer makes better beer. And I was like, isn't that a bit intellectually dishonest? Like, the real difference between those breweries and how they contribute to the community, whether it's more or less, you can argue, in either regard. But that the money goes to a very different place, and the resources that they're using to make beer is entirely different.
Yep.
Right? Like, they're just playing a different game entirely.
That's right.
Like,
they're in a different league.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's that I saw that and it kind of made me, that thing where you tweak your head a little bit sideways, like, wait a minute. Yeah. Is this adult actually saying that? Like, and they are like a beer writer in the UK. And there was some backlash around Heineken buying a brewery, the one that Robert Plant's son started. What was it? Beavertown. Oh, in London, North London. There's a craft brewery called Beavertown. They've only been around since like 2012 or 2014, like 6 years maybe tops, and they've exploded and already moved to a new facility. And they sold, like, you know what Heineken does? They did the same thing with Lagunitas, where they bought like 30%. They give you the cash infusion you need to pay off all your debt, and then you maybe add a fermenter or something like that. And then a couple years later, if business is going well, they just buy the rest.
Yep.
Right. It's like it's like right of first refusal.
Yep. I think Miller Coors is doing a lot of that. Like that. That's what they do.
They did that with Terrapin. Exactly. Yep. Same thing. Yeah. So I saw that go by and I was like, see, this is an issue that I have with, you could say anything on social media, even when you don't use your own name. Certainly it's easier.
Yep.
But when you use your real name, but you're supposed to be an authority figure, or at least trying to position yourself as an authority figure within any industry, right?
Yep.
And then you float out this kind of intellectual dishonesty like that. It's got to be on purpose, right? Am I just being fooled? Is it like just to start a flame war to draw attention to something that they wrote or their brand or something?
I mean, certainly it's not that naive, right?
That was my dramatic pause because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, one would think.
Clearly one is not that thing.
Yeah.
Jack Pethurst.
Yeah, I mean...
Otherwise, his feed is fine. He seems like a nice enough guy. He's a good writer in London for beer, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why you would do that.
There's even conversations around that in the specialty coffee industry as well. So beer is not succumbed to just that argument, but the idea that fair trade or organic coffee or meat or anything else is a better quality
any
by nature
artisanal
of
product.
Yeah, and that doesn't make it a better product. It just means that it's created differently, right? Created and marketed differently.
In some regard, there are things that can make a product
better. That's right.
From a technical standpoint, but that is a subjective marker. So I will allow for someone to think that a Bud Light is better, or a cage raised chicken tastes better than a farm raised chicken. Fine. That's subjective. And
subjective. Yeah.
We can think whatever we want about each other, but at the end of the day, there's no real stake put in the ground on it.
Yep.
That is, tangible.
And at the end of the day, you're not really buying it because at that point in the game, you're not really buying it because it's better. You're buying it because of whatever that reason
makes you feel better.
Because it makes you feel better.
You want to align yourself to that type of thing.
You're not the same thing with that point. You're not drinking it. You're not going, I drink this because it's just better. You're drinking it because it's organic or it's independent or it's whatever that label is.
Like cell phones. You get Android people and iPhone people and some of them really don't care what device they have, and some of them really care what device they have, and they're in one of those, walled gardens, and they like that, but sometimes they look down their nose at someone inside of the other garden, and you're just like, well, it really doesn't matter, dude. There are bigger issues.
They make calls, look up things on the internet.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's really what you use it for.
That's all they do. It's really not that critical of a difference. But to say that they're playing the same game, to imply they're playing the same game, I will give you that, say, Wicked Weed still probably makes some of the best beer. And they made some of the best beer before they were purchased. And they probably still make some of the best beer. You could decide for yourself if you want to buy it or not. We've had that conversation. Right. And that's fine. You do you. But you have to accept it is fact that they're playing a different game, I think, in my mind.
Yep, I agree. Okay. I completely agree with that.
I wasn't trying to talk about it just so you would agree with me.
No, but I agree with you. I absolutely agree.
You crushed this honey ale.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's not amazing.
It's sweet. I wonder if like we were standing outside in the heat, you'd be like, actually, it's got some decent hops to it. It's good beer. Yeah.
Yeah. So this says
big thanks to my friend Deborah Fisher.
On June 4th, 1859, a great frost destroyed all the crops in the area. To combat the shortened growing season, the farmers had to utilize buckwheat. For this brew, we again used buckwheat and honey. So it's interesting. Never had a buckwheat ale.
I wonder if it means it's
pretty good.
Is buckwheat used sometimes for gluten-free?
I don't know. Is buckwheat gluten-free?
I have no idea. I got to ask the internet. It doesn't sound like it would be, but there are a lot of alternative grains that get used.
Yeah,
for different products that I wouldn't normally buy, like sorghum. Gluten-free buckwheat beer.
I'm interested in this bad boy.
What is that bad boy?
Aged in stainless fermenters. This is Trillium's Permutation Series number 38 IPA with Citra.
Whaletown. Population U.
Population 2.
Population 2.
You and I.
You're not going to start singing it, are you?
Oh, that looks heavenly. Holy smokes.
Everybody listens to podcasts so they can hear you describe what a pour looks like.
This looks amazing, actually. I wish you could see this. It looks like a... Oh, the smell, the Citra.
Clouds gone wild.
Freaking amazing.
Yeah, this is
like Citra Town. Ooh, man, this smells good.
I'm digging on it. You get background music going over there?
Yeah, there's something in there. Oh, man. The Citra on this is heavy.
Dude. My man, that is...
Trillium.
Delicious.
Killing it in that game. They are.
They know what they're doing.
Hey, those guys. This is Permutation Series. What is it? What's the permutation?
It's called number 38.
Number 38 IPA with Citra. And holy smokes, this is a good... It's like super balanced. It's
good
sweet.
NEIPA.
It's not... there's no bitterness in there. I don't think it's... the mouthfeel is that creamy mouthfeel.
So if you're not making a New England style IPA these days, are you making any money? Because it seems like these things, anytime they're made, are flying off the shelves. I think the market has spoken.
It's weird because I feel like the market has spoken, and I feel like
It's a category now.
There's a lot of breweries that have come that have said, all right, well, let's do it. And I feel like we're on the tail end of that popularity. So I feel like they finally came and joined the party, and then you walk into the room and everybody's kind of on their way out. You're like, hey, wait, I just got here. And I feel that's where people are. Right. I feel like there's the interest in New England IPAs is kind of waning. I still think so? Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not seeing that.
I still think that they're tasty, and I still think that they can be delicious. I do see a lot of market fatigue in and around that style, and in amongst my friends, I know a lot of us are like, I mean, I don't get as excited about it as we used to, or even at shares, I don't really see that kind of excitement. Because once you drink like 3 or 4 of them, you're kind of like, they all seem to taste alike. And you're starting to see a lot of a brewery here in Atlanta. Actually, we talked about breweries expanding, and we talked about Stone's former brewmaster, Mitch Steele, who opened up a brew pub here in the Atlanta area, just released a Brute IPA, a champagne IPA, a champagne yeast
fermented pale ale. Yeah.
So I think you're going to start to see more pilsners and lagers.
Brooklyn has one of those they've been doing for a long time.
Yep.
It's not the Sriracha Ace. That's a specific hop one, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of it now off the top of my head now that I said it, which is embarrassing. But, I'm not seeing the same thing when when the shipment for locals come in to my local bottle shop, those things are like rationed out. People are lined up for them.
It depends on the, I think that
depends on the brewery.
If the brewery
has
exactly.
like, if a brewer is proven that they are doing a good job with it, people are still hunting it down.
Yep.
But
I mean, you're starting to see like,
how we talked about some of them aren't shelf stable.
Yep.
No, not shelf stable, not stable. Stable.
Yep.
I'll try
stable
pronunciation a little better. I saw a Facebook thread like right after the last episode when we talked about that. I saw a Facebook thread that showed people were putting up photos of their exploded New England IPAs and big fruited sours with busted up cans that had exploded because they left them on the counter. They didn't refrigerate it too long. I think they're going to have to start labeling these things, man. Like, do not leave it room temperature. Yeah. I saw a bottle shop in town had like, remember when M43 hit?
Yep.
When we talked about that in the last episode. And I saw a photo on Facebook of a bottle shop that had about 9 cases of it just stacked up on the store floor. I was like, here, we got it. Come get it. And people were like, OMG, and coming and on my way and all this stuff, which is great. And I put in, shouldn't that be in the refrigerator? That's not shelf-stable product. And a few people yelled at me, which is fine. People got really upset and flamed me a little bit. But now, like, a couple of weeks later, we're seeing photos of these things all exploded. And it makes me think that, there probably needs to be a really loud warning label. Like, you need to keep this cold or consume it, by date, or this is not going to be a good look.
I've actually been seeing a lot of brewers that are putting those warnings on there, like Veil.
Really?
And the Answer.
I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah, the
we
Veil,
don't get those but they don't sell in
Bearded Iris.
Bearded Iris does.
I've seen their I've definitely seen their warnings, and I thought there's a reason why they're putting that on there.
I think total hop heads, the heads get it, but average consumer that even if they're just excited about trying something new and getting into it, if they don't know some of the, not so much the science, but just the history of it, they could definitely find themselves with a mess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But then they spend good money. Some of these 4-packs go for $20, $25.
Yeah.
And one of those
explodes.
And you'll be like, what?
F that.
Yeah, that's not
I'll
good.
do that crap again.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a local brewery here put out their big fruit pureed Berliner called, and then they named it Splody. So thankfully I've got one in the fridge that is not blown up.
Keep it in the fridge.
Probably should make sure to keep that in the fridge. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you definitely have to think about beer differently. This isn't the 12-pack that's sitting on
you will be all right
shelf.
in the fridge. It may not, over time, it may fade a little bit.
Yep.
And certainly some of the bitterness, but it'll be fine in the fridge because at that temperature, that ale yeast goes nighty-night.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that has everything to do with the yeast itself and not waking the yeast up. And
it starts dipping below 55 or 50, and that ale yeast wants no part of it.
No, I mean, think about it. Like, take some of these fruit pureed Berliners and leave them out to 80 degrees, and that yeast wakes up and realizes how much sugar there is to eat and literally just goes ballistic. Boom!
You know what? If they start doing that with lager yeast, there will be no escaping.
Yeah,
refrigeration won't be enough.
Yep.
You're going to have to consume that thing or it will explode all in your refrigerator. Because that yeast will be like, oh, it's 40 degrees. This is perfect. Let's party.
Exactly.
I'm hungry.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is interesting, but I definitely see sort of a fatigue around Northeast IPAs, and I definitely see the brewers that are trying to get ahead of that are already kind of focusing on some of the other types of beers that they do.
They're getting creative with it. They're doing some other things like fruiting them up, like they did with regular IPAs a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Regular IPAs. Listen to me.
Yep.
That's what it's come to.
Yep. The regular IPAs.
Well, IPA was a thing that was different. Now we have different types of IPAs.
Yeah.
Now what do you refer to? The original IPAs. The original. Something like that. Double original. So before we started recording, you were telling me you were experiencing big feelings around the what you referred to as the bubble burst.
Yeah,
well, the bubble's bursting. So talk to me.
We read the news. Read the news yesterday about Thomas Creek. Thomas Creek. Yeah. That's right. Thomas Creek putting themselves up for sale. Thomas Creek, for those of you who may not be,
they're a very good brewery.
Huh?
They're a very good brewery.
They're a good brewery. They're up in Greenville, South Carolina, and they're kind of known more in this area for contract brewing. Honestly, I do see some of their stuff on the shelves. I can't say I've ever picked it up.
I bought a lot of it. It's good.
Okay,
good beer.
But they're really known for contract brewing. They kind of helped Wild Heaven here in Atlanta get started. They've done that
among others,
among many others in this area. And so their portfolio now for contract brewing includes a lot of breweries. I saw Bacardi was on that list, so I guess maybe they're not just doing beer. Maybe they're doing spirits or
that would be like the little like drinks. Like the rum based, like Mike's Hard Lemonade style, like rum drinks.
Yeah, I kind of wondered what they would have been doing
like
for Bacardi.
Bacardi's cranberry pop.
Yeah, okay. So they're doing that kind of stuff, and they just put themselves up for sale, and it made me think about the fact that we lost one recently here in the Atlanta area. Abbey of the Holy Goats, which was a great little Belgian inspired brewery.
We just had Kath Davis on.
8
months ago.
We did
back in October, I think.
Yeah, the Women of Craft Beer,
2017. Look it up.
Yep, Kathy Davis was actually on our podcast, and honestly, she was in a really tough location in this office park. It was kind of hard to find, and honestly, I
think those two things are related. But that's just me.
I think they're related. One of the other things that made it really tough for Kathy and Abbey the Holy Goats was that she really wanted to stick to that whole Belgian-inspired, Belgian-focused brewery.
It's possible.
It's just really hard.
It's hard if you have no foot traffic. Well, they set up in Georgia, and this is a Georgia-specific problem. So fast forward, hit the 30-second forward button or something if you don't care. But I would say that in Georgia, when it was not legal to sell, right?
Yep.
You couldn't afford, or there was no reason to try and afford, retail square foot prices. So you went to an industrial park because you were just considered a manufacturer. When the laws changed so that you could do direct sales, then all of a sudden you needed foot traffic. It totally not only justifies retail square foot prices and locations, it demands it. And then these breweries that are stuck out in industrial parks, if they don't have the means to course correct and get a new facility, then they're cooked. Nobody's going to go to an industrial park anymore to get a tour and 4 or 5 tokens for samples. It's not going to happen. So I think what was happening before it was legal to sell in Georgia, some breweries in Georgia were using contract brewers to create cans and bottles or kegs outside of the state and bringing it back in because it was cheaper than developing their facility and expanding their facility here in Georgia at the time for growth. They just kept a small little tasting room running. I think the two things are related. I think Thomas Creek lost a lot of business from the state of Georgia when it became legal to sell. But your point still is valid. Maybe those aren't the best examples. Your point of like say Green Flash overexpanding and doing it on credit and just not being able to sustain that kind of growth and see it through. As soon as you hit a road bump, if you don't have the cash to get all that done, like you mentioned, Stone has done it. They've gone to Virginia. They're in Berlin now.
Yep.
And they appear from all accounts, from my vantage point, outside looking in, they appear to be doing just fine with the expansion. And they don't look like they're in any kind of trouble. They're still coming out with new beers all the time. They're very active in social media. Maybe we'll find out next week before the next show that they are up for sale. I don't know who could buy them. They're pretty big, but Dogfish Head has done the same. They've expanded. They've got multiple locations.
New Belgium's done
Sierra Nevada.
Same.
Sierra Nevada.
Oscar Blues.
Yeah. So Oscar Blues created a parent company with like Cigar City.
Consortium.
Consortium where they kind of pool resources. And that's a different business model, different take. But, my take is the bubble isn't bursting yet. It's entirely possible it started or will happen soon. But I think the breweries that we're seeing go out of business aren't very good at something. Either A, manufacturing beer, B, marketing and creating product and knowledgeable demand, or the business end of it. C, right?
Yep.
And if Green Flash wasn't good at the business end of it and struggled on that front, then they had to sell off a bunch of stuff and reel back and regroup.
I think you're going to see a lot of mediocre breweries go out of business in the next 5 years because
it's possible.
Because what you're seeing is a lot of the bigger breweries coming into markets that they weren't in previously, like Georgia, for instance. You're seeing a lot of breweries that weren't here previously coming into your area, wherever your area is in the country, right? Breweries are expanding. And as they do that, as they expand from state to state, you're seeing less and less shelf space. Then you also have the addition of local breweries opening up on a constant basis, taking up even more shelf and case space. Or
direct sale.
Yeah, or direct sale. And so the amount of space at stores and or bars on tap lines is not increasing. So there is a natural pushing out that will happen whereby if you're not putting out something that people just absolutely freaking love, you're gonna have a really tough time, and chances are you'll probably end up going out of business because of it, unless you just have a beer or two that you feel like can carry you, the bulk of the way. So I'm thinking of a couple of breweries at the top of my head who have that one beer that really carries them. So I think that, again, you're going to see a lot of mediocre breweries who either are putting out mediocre beers or don't do a very good job of even telling people what they do, go out of business in the next 5 years.
No naming names.
You want to open up this Creature Comforts and Bearded Iris Tiki Time?
Oh, is it a collab?
Yeah, this is a collab between Creature Comforts and Bearded Iris and YCH Hops, which is very well.
I've seen this go by on the socials.
Yep, and this is actually uses an interesting new hop. Which is it's a HBC 438.
Well, before they get names, they have like their scientific number.
Yeah.
Assigned number. And then once they get kind of established, and I don't know exactly how they get established, like if it's like certain like genealogy, like amount of time or something like that. I'm way out of my depth here. Feel free to save me. But and then there's a patent on it or something, then they get named and you could charge a lot more.
Yeah, so this is a HBC 438 Tropical Exotic. Man, this is a freaking delicious IPA.
It is super acidic, like in a fruity way, almost like pineapple.
Yep. It's definitely... So it's got a picture of a coconut on there.
It's fresh and bright.
Obviously, there's not any coconut.
There isn't any coconut in it.
Nope.
Why is there a picture of a coconut?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they call it Tiki time because you're supposed to have fun in it.
But I definitely get the tropical fruits, mango and pineapple.
Tropical fruit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all tropical fruit.
Yep.
But it's bright. It tastes fresh. I wouldn't let it sit around too long. That will probably...
Nope.
That's probably from the hops. So
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's good.
This released on Friday at the brewery, and it was really good.
Thanks for sharing.
But yeah, I feel like if we're not at the beginning, we're at the appetizer stage for the bubble bursting. The precipice.
Precipice.
Yeah, we're at the precipice, which is at the cliff.
Pronounce anything. Yeah. Enunciate anything today.
The precipice of this happening. I think that again, it's a culmination of a lot of things. Competition's getting incredibly tough, and those who just aren't hitting it out of the park are going to end up on the bench, and that will happen.
Right. But like you said, I mean, the days of planting, your flag in a flagship beer, that's a terrible analogy. But you know what I'm saying? Like those days it's getting harder and harder to do that. If it works, if it's an incredible beer, but what the people who come back time and time again and frequent the brewery or frequent your products from the shelf, even in a grocery store, will eventually want to try some of your other flavors, and they've got to be good too. Or if they're a none, then they've got to find a way. They're going to want to find a way to dig into some of the barrel stuff. Your barrel program's got to be strong, and you got to find a way of promoting that, and that's where the marketing becomes really important. You've got to have a way to explain that.
Yeah, something else that's a factor in this is that the people who are kind of just on the craft beer train as of recently are incredibly fickle. They don't have the same brand loyalty that older folks do, or people that have been around for a long time do.
How do you mean?
Well, so you think about it, like most of the younger folks in craft beer and in that whole scene are really interested in what's new and what's fresh and what's the next big thing.
Got you.
Rather than the brands that have been around for a long period of time, which is why you see a lot of really amazing beers sitting on shelves, like we talked about Rodenbach Alexander and Delirium.
Oh yeah, that stuff collects dust in the store, and you're like, what is going on?
Which is crazy,
That's
right?
Amazing.
It's because this whole new generation of craft beer nerds, they're only predominantly interested in what's hot right now.
It's got to be fresh. It's got to be popping.
Fresh. It's got to be.
And if it's not, then they don't have a lot of interest.
That's exactly
that's been their reality though, because the last 5 years that environment has really sprung up.
But
they don't know. They're not old, and gross like you and me, where we remember a time when, these whippersnappers weren't around.
Yeah.
And it was like you found yourself a Sam Adams or a basic solid IPA.
That's right. Anchor.
Whether it was Anchor or, Firestone Walker, Sweetwater.
Even New Belgium.
New Belgium was always there.
Yeah.
Their beers Fremont, some of these breweries have been around for a long time.
Yep.
And didn't have a large portfolio of bottles, but the ones they had were way better than the macro alternatives. And that's what you gravitated to. Or like we spoke about a couple episodes ago, imports.
Yep.
A huge influence on not so much freshness, but variety.
Yeah.
And the idea of variety. So, yeah, I mean, the Belgian thing really started to ramp up a few years back. And now it's certainly trending for the big fruited sour things. And now you've got the New England IPAs that we just talked about. And, it'd be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, it will be interesting for sure. I think that there is a pull and a gravitational kind of vacuum to pull people back down to what people considered historically a beer, right?
Right.
Grains, yeast,
but now they got to be whales.
Yeah, grains, yeast, malt.
It's not good enough to just be a beer.
Water.
You got to be whales.
Yeah.
You texted me at like 3 a.m.
I texted you to let you know that you were mentioned in this fervent few.
I was quoted
in this fervent.
Well, I thought I better face this head on and come clean. That I'm a member of the fervent few over at Good Beer Hunting.
Yeah. Which
I don't want it to make me look like a shill. We had Michael Kaiser and Austin O'Ray on a few episodes ago. And I liked the idea of the fervent few even before we had talked to them. But I was thinking like it would be cool to just kind of see, because Kaiser catches a lot of shit for not being anti-macro enough. Right. And he talked about that. And we asked him about it and he talked about it. And I thought he was very articulate and made a lot of sense. Very practical men, very practical answers. But I liked the idea of the fervent few, the way he explained it, better than the idea I've had of what it was before I joined. And I figured $5 a month, it's a pint.
Yep, that's right.
I'll go in and just see what's going on in conversation. If I don't dig it, or if it's not something productive, or if it's a bunch of Bud lovers in there, I'm going to bail, right? But it's not. It's really cool. And this isn't an ad for them. They didn't ask me to say this. But, you texted me because I was quoted in it. And that's happened a couple of times now, and I've come to find that that's really fun. So, but the Slack channel is actually really cool, and there's some really bright people in there. I've been challenged a few times on some of my ideals, which I find productive and refreshing, and I've been able to get into the weeds in a couple of conversations, and some weeks are lighter than others, some more heavier than others, but that weekly topic that they do where you get to and this week's is really good. I usually stew on it and come in near the end because I want to, not snark, but I want a smart answer that can be funny, but also respects the topic to some degree, not flippant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So I've done the flippant thing and they quoted it. And then when the page went up, I was like, well, maybe that joke didn't land the way I thought it would. So I will now. Yeah. So that whole thing of where I said I will take down a whale without remorse, big or small. Now this only if they're small. If they're big, I said I would share them.
Yeah. I saw a tweet come through just a little bit ago from Nick Spear and Courtyard Brewery, which is a brewery. I believe they're in New Orleans, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Courtyard Brewery. They are they're a really well known. They're in New Orleans. They tweeted, Orville, one of the highest regarded beers in the world, is a 3.8 on Untapped. Let's all take a minute to think about that.
I love that.
And that's exactly what we were just talking about.
Well, we were panning Untapped reviews a few episodes ago.
Episodes ago. But I was talking about the fact that there's not the same loyalty with craft beer drinkers, some of the newer craft beer drinkers, whereas folks like us, see something like Saison DuPont or Orville or...
those beers are magnificent.
Yeah, of course they are.
You try one of those and don't tell me it's not amazing.
Exactly.
But even the people like we're talking about and kind of panning here a little bit that maybe don't have the history, that are nothing but the current whale chasers, if that was the whale for sale and they tried it, they would be like, OMG, bro, this is so good. Sorry, that was disrespectful.
Yeah, it was bad. But yeah, the comment,
I was trying to insert some sort of bro life type thing. But I don't know.
The comment back was, drink what you like and celebrate the diversity of styles that makes craft beer so amazing. And I think that's exactly...
well, they're good at socials. Obviously, they're good at being social media people.
Yep.
And, allow people that space. Yeah, everything... I think... Ultimately, what we're going to find on Untapped is everything nets out to be about a 3.5. I know it's not possible for everything to be a 3.5, but I think everything is heading to being
except for this Trillium number 38, which is probably like 4.5.
Oh man, I have had some unbelievable beers lately. I'm on a run that is just epic. But I've also kind of settled into, like we talked about in the last episode, summer beers, but I've kind of settled into what is going to be like.
It's 4.44. I was 0.1 off.
0.1 off.
I said 4.5 and it's 4.41.
People look to you for accuracy.
See what I mean?
Information.
I just know what the people like. And this is Orville is 3.5 and this IPA that we're drinking is 4.41. Now, is this a better beer than an Orville that has like hundreds of years of history?
I don't
maybe not hundreds.
Know that it's better,
but yeah,
it may be comparable. It may not be around 100 years from now.
Yep. So there you go. Now I'm going to post this, and everybody's going to wonder what did I rate it at, and
I had an IPA that had some off flavors recently. Speaking of quality and longevity, I had an IPA that had some real crazy off flavors in it, what I perceived to be off flavors, because it tasted like peanut butter.
Ooh, yeah.
And I don't know what happens to that beer in the process that gives it that flavor, but I'm pretty sure they didn't put peanut butter in the IPA. It didn't say anything about peanut butter. Clearly they got it wrong, or something went wrong.
Well, it could be worse. I dumped my whole batch of strawberry Berliner Weiss because when I opened it up after fermenting for 2.5, 3 months, it smelled just like
your homebrew? Oh, I'm sorry, man.
That was a painful
Damn.
blow. That's what I get for working with lacto.
5 gallons?
2.5.
That's not so bad.
No, but it's still.
But you nurtured it and nursed it for months.
I did.
And you were so high on it a couple of weeks ago when we spoke.
Yeah.
No. So what is this? This is a double IPA from your Pico system.
This is based on a Mike Hess double IPA. Mike Hess Brewing.
Got you.
It was based off of a Mike Hess double IPA.
It's pretty good, sir.
And then again, I tweaked it with some dry hopping with some different hops.
You gotta lean into that mic,
so
man.
That's what this is.
Don't eat it, but lean in.
That's what it is.
I dig it.
It's
Thanks
super
for sharing.
Sweet and sugary malty.
It is malty.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah, I like it. Honestly,
malty.
It
like
definitely
malty.
does not taste like 8.5%.
It tastes pretty similar to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll bring you a bottle.
Yeah, do it.
Now that it's like 5 weeks old.
Do it.
I'm going to make another one. I was thinking, well, this time of year, midsummer, I start thinking about brewing for the fall. So it's like, maybe a porter or something that is a little more sweet. Something you start thinking about drinking when the weather starts to turn a little cooler. So that's where my mind is at with that.
If you drink a porter twice, does it become a reporter?
That was drier than that honey buckwheat beer we drank earlier.
Which was pretty dry.
That shit was dry. All right. I know that's how you roll, though. I respect it.
Hey, what good have you had lately? We didn't talk about that. I'd like to know what good have you had lately?
I've been spoiled lately. Absolutely spoiling myself. I don't know why necessarily. Perpetuation from Urban Family. It's like boysenberry, blackberry, raspberry type of fruited up sour. It was super acidic, more so than like the fruity soft ones, like no lactose, not that style, but it was really, really good. Brewer's Day Off from D9 Brewing. If you have not found this thing, it is unbelievable cucumber and cantaloupe sour ale, and it is delicious.
Toasty.
Local heroes, Cherry Street, give it up for the Groovy Child Guava Cream Ale.
Yep.
That is a totally crushable. And Uniani, La Sol 3, the blackberry, those bottles are so good. They
really are. Welcome to Georgia. We're glad you're here.
Oh my God, those bottles are so ridiculously good. I loved Nowhere in Particular. Then they do one-offs, right?
Yep, they're like a gypsy brewer.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a hit or miss. Some of them are better than others, but this batch 22 that just hit the market a few weeks ago, the strawberry cream pie, it is so good. If you like them fruited and you like them creamy, they say it's a Berliner Weiss. I didn't think it was that Berliner E, but it was because it wasn't like the salt and the dryness wasn't there.
Yep.
But it was really ridiculously good. Jester King's Boxer's Revenge.
Yep, that's a classic.
And, an Old Nation. The M43's been coming in, and the M43 will not let you down. That is a solid New England IPA. Sauce Boss from Evil Twin. Have you ever had that?
No.
I was astonished by the sticker price of that 4-pack. Was upwards of almost $30. I said, no way I'm buying that. and I looked at a few other packs, and then I went back and said, what the hell does a $28 4-pack taste like? Well, we're going to find out.
Bingo.
It's good. I don't know if it's worth the money. Actually, it's probably not worth the money. You could do as well for half the price. But it was fine. It was a good beer. But yeah, that's, a few other things that you've had to share. Some of like, Hudson and Pontoon. Some of these things that are delicious.
Love Hudson Valley. Their sour IPAs are redonkulous.
Yeah.
I had a double dry hop, double mosaic daydream from Other Half, which was freaking incredible. It was, it was delicious from top to bottom. Then I had, I had Variant Brewing's Splody with blueberries, strawberries, and rhubarb.
Yeah, they're local heroes, trending mightily right now.
They're doing a phenomenal job here in the Atlanta area. And then The Answer, one of their fruit pureed Gosas, the Tyrion Lannister popsicle. And then, honestly, the Prairie Coconilla, the Blackbeard Killa, which is from their Prairie Dog.
Right. That's a good line.
Series.
Good series.
Oh, wow. 4.75. I mean, it was incredible.
4.75 ABV or caps?
No, what I rated it at.
Oh, what you rated it at?
Yeah.
Those are Domini caps.
Yeah. So honestly, that series, that Prairie Dog line is just it's just incredible. Chase Healy, who was the founder, who kind of sold Prairie to Krebs and started his own company with why can I not think of the name of it? American Solera.
Yeah.
You would wonder what those stouts would be like after Chase's departure, and honestly, they're doing pretty fine for themselves.
Doing fine. Yeah.
And American Solera is doing really great, so they both won in that scenario.
Well, he changed the game up. He's doing different things. Clearly, he wanted to get out from having to do those styles repeatedly, and wanted to break out and do some other things that wouldn't fit into the brand, and good for him.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I know our lists are riveting radio, so you want to just after party? Call it a day? We've been going almost an hour. Come on. We haven't done a real one in months, actually.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Maybe I don't want to after party.
Do it.
No, I don't want to do it. Because I'm going through a lot, and I don't want to. I've experienced a lot of feels, and I don't want to say something that misrepresents reality.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Why don't we do this? Can we agree, or at least like pinky promise, to do it when we come out of the tunnel?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye. See you
and
guys.
If you're still listening, totally thanks. You rock.
Yeah.
That's unfriggin'
Thanks
real.
for listening.
I can't believe you just did this for an hour. You must like us.
You guys are great.
Preach. If you have a question or something you would like us to discuss, drop us an email, sip@lastbeershow.com, or hit us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at The Last Beer Show. A reminder that we are proud members of the ABV Network. Go to abvnetwork.com to see all the amazing podcasts, or go to your podcast app of choice, search for something like The Last Beer Show, The Firewater Review, The Bourbon Daily, among others. And if you really want to have a good time, go to Instagram and follow the hashtag ABV Network Crew. There's always all kinds of stuff happening on there, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, thanks for listening. Peace. Oh, wait. One more thing. Please do us a solid and go to iTunes, rate the show. We would be extremely grateful. Thank you very much. Thanks again for listening.